I was watching uh CNN, and CNN, they were commenting on Joe Rogan. You know what's funny is CNN is a multi-billion dollar, they're a mass media conglomerate, and they still want smoke with people. It's funny.
Right.
They want smoke. They go after Fox, like whatever's viral, like they still want smoke. And it kind of made me think, which is a separate topic, if we should start smoke with some other platforms. Because if CNN is engaging in it because it knows it keeps them, you know what I mean,
Oh,
top of
okay.
mind. I'm
Yeah,
like, damn, even CNN's doing it. But anyways,
of course. So what you're saying is we should use CNN as our prototype, as our template to our strategy for our podcast. Is what you're saying. CNN is what we should do, is what we should
I'm
use, or just
I'm just saying that if you were to model your platform
right,
with any other platform, what's wrong with
right.
CNN? But that's not the
Well,
point that I was making.
that's a yep. That's because that's a different video.
The point that I was making is they like to smoke. But um they were talking about Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan had this, I guess, very controversial guest on. His name escapes me. I really don't even care to repeat his name just because of the things he stands for. But
Okay.
he did actually say one thing, and this is off the cuff. I want to get your natural response to it. They had a brief conversation about race. And their conversation about race was, these are two white guys, right? Joe Rogan, of course, being Italian, or he's half Italian, I don't know. But he's like, hey,
So
I'm not
he's
white.
black. He's black.
He's like, I'm not white. Because if you look at my skin, I'm actually tanned. And then Joe Rogan proceeds to say, and I'm gonna misquote him here, so forgive me, but he proceeds to say, hey, you're not really black because there's different shades on the black scale. So you're not actually black unless you come from like the heart of Africa, like in the darkest place where they wear no clothes. So you know what I mean? So they can,
Right.
so their skin gets very black,
Right.
have a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
melanin. So I guess the question to you is do you believe color is made up? Like, should you actually describe someone like, hey, that person's white, that person's black, that person's brown? Does that is that a real thing? Or do
Can I
or should we just go based on where you were born? You're Canadian, you're African, you're Iraqi, or so on and so forth.
can I be 100% honest with you?
I like lies preferably, but honesty is, it's refreshing.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you the honesty this time. Okay. Um, I don't think any of this shit really matters. Um, if I call somebody who's dark skinned black, that's what I call them. You know what I mean? If I call somebody with lighter pigment white, if I call somebody Asian, I don't see what the issue is. You see what the problem is? Because we've introduced so many different classifications of gender, now we want to go and extend that to race. If you really want to be technical, at this point in humanity, everybody is mixed with something else. Everybody's mixed with something else. And that's even people who are straight from Africa. Unless you're from a tribe, and I'm talking about tribe, because there's some people that are from tribes that have like 800, 1,000 years heritage, and they only mess with people in their own tribes. And that's just not something in Africa. That's something that happens in other places too. But
Hey,
I
let's
just know
let's let's not forget, and I hate to interrupt you, but
it's a
even the
Somalian thing and an Ethiopian thing
and
too.
even the
Sorry.
royal family, they used to mess with. I'm talking about your second cousins. Like they kept it in the blood
Right.
line. So
Right.
I don't want people to be like, oh, that's an African thing. Nah, the royal
That's what
family.
I'm saying. It's not just there.
Yeah.
It's not just there,
Yeah.
obviously, right? But unless that is the situation, there is a very good chance that you are mixed with somebody with something else. Like how many people have checked their DNA.coms or whatever that website is, and it comes
Ancestry.com.
back, and it comes, yeah, whatever it is, and it comes back that you're 3% Inuit. Or like, you know what I mean? Like you always get that little small under 5%
Little
in your
sliver.
DNA.
Mm.
Yeah, every time I see somebody post that shit, that's what I see. That little under 10%, under 5%. Where did the hell did that come from? Because at this point, this person's messing with that person, messing with that person. It doesn't matter what time we're talking about. There were interracial relationships throughout our history of time, regardless of what was going on. And that's well known. So
Yeah.
to sit here and try to be like, I'm gonna classify you as this, and then you either be offended by it or you don't like it or whatever. It's like, bro, get the fuck over it, man. What am I supposed to call you right now?
Well,
Milkshake?
I remember Kendrick Lamar off the Damn album. I think the song is Nah or something like that. Buzzing, Ray Buzz is buzzing. Yeah, no, it's yeah. On that song, he goes, "Don't call me black no more. Don't call me black no more. I'm an Israelite." So like he's kind of identifying not with just like what you see on the outside, but something, I guess, passed on or ancestral. So when I heard it, so the larger point was when I heard it.
Listen,
in CNN,
Kendrick, one of your ancestors, Kendrick, fucked a Spaniard. Okay, so there goes unless the Israelites were only messing with the Israelites. I don't understand how Kendrick's gonna come out and say that I'm an Israelite. You
I
can't.
mean,
You
but
can't do it.
and I'm not basing what I'm about to say off of a Kendrick Lamar lyric, but
But I get what you're saying. What he's saying is that he's saying it metaphorically in
yeah,
many ways. He's
but
not saying that is actually what he is. I get it.
but CNN took a stance that what these people were saying were inaccurate, like wrong, like just because a person's black doesn't mean like, excuse me, just because like they're brown or light skin or whatever doesn't mean you call them black, and just because a person is air quote white doesn't mean you call them white. Like the basis on the color of your skin doesn't obviously determine who you are. But I say all that to say this: I found myself kind of struggling because I kind of agreed with them and then I disagreed with them at the same time. Because what do you call an Asian person? If you had to call the same way you would look at me and say I'm black, the same way you would look at Joe Rogan and say he's white.
Right.
What would you call an Asian person then? Because
Mr. Chin.
Because their skin is white. So would you call them white? No, because Mr. Chin wasn't born in Canada.
Jamaican thing, by the way. Not
By the way,
insulting.
exactly.
If you go to Jamaica, all Asian people are called Mr. Chin. All right.
But the point is what would you call an Asian person? So there's some truth there. There's some fact there. I've seen it and I said, okay, I get it, but
I call an Asian person an Asian person. I don't call them Chinese.
I know, but for those
Taiwanese,
I know, but for
Filipino.
those people who do that, like you're not going to look at me and be like, oh yeah, Chris, the Canadian/Jamaican guy. You're going to be like Chris, the black guy. So if you
because first of all, I would never associate you with Jamaicans ever in my life.
But if you could do that for me, why wouldn't you do that with an Asian person who is their skin is white, but you wouldn't call them white. You would call them Asian. So why don't we do that for us?
It's the same argument. It's the same argument that they were making earlier that you said in the podcast, where you said my skin is tanned versus like naturally. My skin is naturally tanned, whereas yours is lighter. That's two different colors, two different pigments. So that's why I don't just call an Asian person white, because then what do I call that redhead who, when they go out to tan, they come back looking like a peach, like a cherry?
But this,
you know what I mean?
This is what I'm saying. So if we can call the Asian person Asian, let's call the white person from Italy Italian. Let's call the black person from the UK European.
But the reason that people, let's be real, the reason that people be saying Asian is because it's so difficult to tell, unless you are from there, the difference between what somebody looks like. You know what I mean? Where they're from, just based on what they look like. Like,
remember,
if you are from one of these places,
remember, India,
if you are,
Asian.
Huh?
Isn't India in Asia?
It's South Asian. It's South Asian. But listen, with Indian, it is. I'm going to be honest with you. It's easier to tell the difference of who's from where. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not even going to lie.
There's a physical distinction, but go ahead.
You can't. It's hard to tell the difference between for people outside. For people outside, to clarify, between Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Taiwanese, and me saying that, and Asian people watching are probably like, "You're dumb, bro." That it's so obvious to me. This is the different features, but when you're outside of that, it's harder to distinguish that. That's why me personally, I just say Asian, because I can't tell. That's why I say it.
Well, look, I feel like you are indirectly making my point, and to me, I will just roll with it. But I mean, I'll put it out there to the public. CNN went ham on this particular segment of the podcast, and I still struggle with it even now. After having that discussion with you, I still struggle with it even now. What are your thoughts, though? Is it okay just to say a black person is black, a white person is white, a brown person is brown, or should we just zero in? Where's that person from? But then how do you even know where the person is from? Like, leave it in the comments, okay? That video, that link, just click it and have fun. All right, dude.
Somebody I don't know, I'm just, if it's somebody I don't know how I'm just gonna call them
Well,
out.
this is
like
what
that,
I'm
but
saying.
yeah, so that's, you got to go by what you see.